All right, guys. I wanted to talk a little about training. Now that I've got some downtime here at work for a little while, a couple of things on my mind that maybe perhaps you guys might benefit from. Who knows? But so let's talk about consistent strength and gym closures. Not that the two are directly related, but they could be. So I live in Western New York, and the governor said that we are in some kind of a hot zone, that our coronavirus percentages are spiking, so they're having to roll back some shutdowns, which is including the gyms, which is a little bit frustrating because, given everything else, it's probably the only place that I really do go. We don't go to the movies, we don't go to sporting events, we don't do any of that stuff. So, outside of just staying at home, I just enjoy going to the gym 4 times a week. So no, I can't do that. But let's talk about being consistent in your strength, right? So, and this is not going to be a knock on anybody else's programming. This is not going to be a knock on anything. It's just going to be one man's perspective on the way he trains and the way he finds success. So to preface all of this, I am 41 years old. I'll be 42 in 7 months, something like that. So no spring chicken, but I have been training for 25 plus years. I've seen it all. I've tried it all. I've not tried it all. I've been drug free the entire time, right? I competed in natural bodybuilding shows. I had fun with it. I've competed in non-tested bodybuilding shows as well. Not so much fun. But I've also competed in tested powerlifting and non-tested powerlifting. And that's not a knock on anybody that wants to take any of that stuff. It's just not for me. But consistency in training, right? So, given the closures, given the lockdowns, what I did, it was max effort, lower, and the rotation was deadlift. So my original plan, what I had written out, was going to be deficits versus mini bands, not like the monster minis, but like the micro minis, right? They're really small, but they'll add about 80 pounds to the top, especially on a deficit. So I scrapped that, and I just said, I'm just going to go in there. I'm going to pull whatever I pull, right? So I wanted to go in with some kind of a PR, and just kind of see where I was before everything shut down. So I originally planned to do a mock meet, but I didn't really have the time to do that. So I just went in and did some pulls and blasted my accessories, and I left. So I went in, pulls were feeling fantastic. Things were flying off the floor like they've never felt before. And so I took my first shot at 800-pound deadlift, 800 pounds. And that didn't go as planned. I did not get it, but I felt it, and I know what 800 pounds now feels like. I know what I need to do to get there, and now I know that I will eventually lift it. So at one point, 800 pounds was a mythical creature, but now it is well within my grasp. So how do I do that? How did I get there? And how can, maybe you guys start to rethink about your own training that way? So I don't like to do any of those peak programmings where you train for like 8 or 10 weeks and then you hit a max and then that's it, right? What do you do after that? Maybe I don't know that. Maybe that's where I'm ignorant in the fact of these 8-week programs, 10-week programs. Do you just start it over and you have a new max? I mean, that seems logical, but then you're going through the same type of training. There's no differences, there's no variation, there's really no fun, right? And are you going to get the same result? So if you come in with a 500-pound deadlift and you're saying in 10 weeks I'm going to hit 550 or 585, so you have put on 50 pounds of weight to your max. That's a hell of a PR, right? That's incredible. So then you restart that cycle at 550. Are you going to put on another 50 pounds? Are you going to hit 600? So in 20 weeks time, are you going to add 100 pounds? It's not likely that's going to happen. are you going to get any benefit the second go around, the third go around? What happens when that's done? How often do you guys use that? And that's maybe something that I don't get. But I train specifically, I train the conjugate method. You know, whether like people call it West Side or whatever the case may be. And I also like to consider myself a hybrid power lifter. I got my foot in the multiply camp, and I got my foot into the raw camp. I just don't pull with a suit. I hate benching with a shirt because it's really friggin' hard, and it's frustrating. But I love squatting and suit. That shit's like superhero stuff. But so I train that primarily raw, like 80%, 90% of my conjugate training is raw. And then only if we were going into a meet when we would put on the gear. And again, I've tried pulling with a deadlift suit. I don't like it. It would just take too much time, and like I was barely pulling 675. And it's supposed to, it's supposed to, I don't need help off the floor. So at any rate, we do that. We train conjugate method with a West Side influence, right? And that changes every week. Every week you're going into something different, right? And you're always setting max PRs, or you're going after a variation PR. And what that means is that if you go in 1 week and you're doing cambered bar against 200 pounds of chains for a squat, triple, or even a single, and last time you hit it was maybe you got 600 pounds bar weight, 200 pounds chain. So this time you're doing this variation, which you can cycle in once a year, right? You don't need to do it every week. So let's say the last time you hit that variation, you got 600 of bar weight. So now you're going in with 200 pound chain. You're going to try to exceed that, maybe 605, maybe 615, and try to get better at that. And that's constant. That's a constant thing. So the next week you're coming in you're doing good mornings. Let's say it's chain suspended, straight bar good mornings with a wide stance. So the last time you did that, let's say you got 400. So now you're going to come in, you're going to want to better that. So it's a constant improvement on your previous 1 rep max on that variation. So the variations are going to change. The movement in of itself is going to remain the same. It's going to be a good morning, but what type of a good morning? It's going to be a squat. What type of squat? It's going to be a pull, but what kind of a pull? Block pull, deficit pull, banded, chain, all kinds. So that's where I'm coming from with this, and it's a lot of fun because it's every week is a little different. You can always challenge yourself, and you could look back into your diary of training and say, man, last year at this time I did a Zercher squat for 485, but now I'm going to do it again and I'm going to get 500. And so you can gauge your strength within that web, right? It's a strength web. So ideally, if you're getting stronger in a Zercher squat, everything else really should improve, because Zercher squats are absolutely taxing and murderous on your entire your body, but your posterior chain, your upper back, your lower back, your glutes, your hamstrings, your hips, everything. So that's how we use that, right? And that's how I use that to kind of gauge whether I need to taper back or if I need to push harder, if I can push harder. So when I walked into the gym, I didn't think like, oh, well, it's not my max peak week, or I'm not maxing this week. I just went in and said, I'm going to pull mid 700s somewhere. And I decided halfway through that I was going to take a shot at 8. I knew that 750 plus was a guarantee. Not even a question. 800, while it was not there, 780, maybe 785, definitely, I think would have been there. 800, I think that I got psyched out because I saw it on the bar and it looked like clown weight, just way too fucking big. And I think I psyched myself out. And I was also texting a friend too, and he's like, don't do it if you're not 100% confident. And that kind of questioned me. I said, I'm not 100% confident, so I'm going to try it anyway. Fuck it. But at any rate, so consistency, right? You got to remain consistent within your training. So you don't need to always build up to a certain, hey, I'm going to attempt this max. Sure, we have max weeks every week. And if you want to carry that variation into a specific week, if you want to say, I just want to see what I can pull off the floor any given day, any given week, then go and do that. But the smart thing to do is to not always do that, right? You want to have fun with it. You want to get better. If you suck at banded pulls and you can only get, say, 500 with the Monster Minis, right? And you suck at it because my lockout sucks or whatever the case may be. Then work at that, and then when time comes for you to hit that max lift, it's there. It's always there. You can go in any day of the week and hit it, right? Always. You can always hit, and your strength threshold is going to go up because you're consistently challenging your weak points. Ideally, you're changing up the stimulation, and your body's not getting used to it. You're not getting fatigued. And it's training smart. And then your accessories should target your weak areas. If your low back is weak, if your hamstrings are weak, that's what you should be going after your main lifts. And be smart about those. You change those every so often. You don't always do, Romanian deadlifts. You don't always do bent over rows. Although those two are absolute kings in my book for development. But you change it up. You get creative. You have fun with it, and enjoy the process. And that goes for bench. That goes for deadlift. So you don't have for squat too. So it's not like you're paying specific focus to one lift. You're building all three. Ideally, you're building all three. So you go in, and one day it's squats, right? And you're still building that, and still any day you can go in and hit a max lift. You don't need to peak for that. You don't have to do like an 8-week squat program where your concentration is squats and your deadlifts goes to shit. You don't have to do a deadlift program where your squat goes to shit. You're utilizing essentially the same muscles, but why would your lift in one go up but not in the other? Now, granted, that's not a guarantee, right? I've had instances where my deadlift shot up and my squat kind of teetered a little bit, but then I kind of thought, like, okay, what am I doing in my training that's impacting that? So you constantly have to think about that. What are you doing? Ideally, should they both be going up in a perfect world? Yes, but we know that's not going to happen. Sometimes they kind of regress a little bit, but with a couple of steps back, we go a couple of steps forward. And it's time to, when we see that, we address it. Are we having just a bad day in the gym? Did we eat enough? Did we sleep enough? Do we have, external variables? Stress at work, stress at family. What's causing me to have, a bad workout? Do we have to go back to the drawing board on our training? If you're having a string of bad workouts week after week after week, then yeah, you got to go back to the drawing board. Something's wrong. But you don't need to do these peak week things. Like, you just got to remain consistent and smart throughout the whole time. And you will see the benefit of that going up, because I haven't done one of those 8-week peak weight training things in years, but I never knew what came after that. After I hit, let's say I hit a 400-pound squat, and I'm like, great, but I want to be a 400-pound squatter every day of the week. I'm not running this program every time. So how can I do that? Well, that's how you do that, right? Just exactly what I said. You got to go back, and you got to change the variable all of the time. You got to be strong every single week, week in and week out. Does that make sense? I hope it does. So, following this video of my ramblings, incoherent ramblings, I hope that some of this made sense. If it didn't, I'll try to do another video and elaborate on it. But these are my polls from Wednesday. This Wednesday. Today's Friday. So Wednesday. The gyms are shut down. I don't know when I'm going to go back into one. I don't have the ability in my garage anymore to train in my garage because everything is packed into my garage from the summer. So hopefully this lockdown doesn't last 4 or 5 months like the other one did, and we can get back to doing it, because I know 800 is there. I know, I know what it feels like. I know what I need to do to hit it, and that's being 800 pounds strong every day. I'm 700 pounds strong every day now. And once upon a time when I was 600 pounds strong every day, I didn't think 700 pounds was there. Ever. I said to myself, I might hit this once and that's it. I don't think I'll ever be able to remain consistent, have the strength to hit that every day. And I can go in today and hit 700. Easy peasy. And that's not to brag. I mean, it does feel good to say that because it's been a long journey. But at one point, I will say that about 800. And I know that. It's not something that's mystical anymore. It's there. So thanks for listening. Let me know if this made any bit of sense. If not, I'll try it again. But this is my first time doing this shit. Okay, see you.